The most helpless I felt was when I kept checking Facebook and watching the TV and having to witness the fires from so far away and not being able to do anything, and just watching posts of my friends going, oh, this house burned down, oh, this part of the town is out in Shasta Lake, it's gone, and feeling completely helpless at that point.
We left the house at 8:40 p.m. and the house was on fire by 9:30, and it was gone by 10:30. It went up in a hurry.
When the Carr Fire first started, Jerry reached out to me and asked if the Don't Wait Project could be involved in an idea he had to give $50,000 worth of furniture away to families who'd lost their homes in the fire. And I said, absolutely. Sign me up. Put me on the next plane.
Lisa and I decided to meet up in Redding, see what we could do, and by the time we got here, there was already so many helpers. I mean, there was even a furniture store that had been set up to help people furnish their rentals until they were able to build their homes again.
We've got 1,200 homes that were lost, so count that out by people, and we knew that they would be moving into homes that were not furnished, a good group of them.
We put out to our social media that, you know, we needed furniture for the fire victims, and the next day we had a load of furniture coming in.
When you're trying to decide what do you take with you, how do you make that decision? I mean, of course you need clothes and those things. Did you grab pictures? Did you grab...
No, there was no time to do that.
No time for that?
No.
Although he did get one photo album.
I did grab one photo album, and I grabbed one quilt that I was a professional quilter, and I grabbed one quilt off the wall, but I lost all the rest of them. So it was just...
Everything?
Everything. Absolutely everything.
It's a terrible feeling.
So I found such fulfillment meeting these folks and hearing their stories and learning about them, and it was such a reward, more rewarding for me, I think, than even for them that they were receiving the gifts that they did.
And at the same time, it was also very, like, the next overwhelming feeling was like the community, the outpour, you know, help. And it was something that, an experience that I don't ever want anybody to ever go through.
The biggest thing that I learned from it is that you don't have to have the biggest organization, you don't have to have this smart idea to help people, just go and help people. And as you're doing the process, you just kind of learn your own kind of way of helping people.
I designed and built our own house, so my dad and I built it. We started it in 1989 and I finished it in 1990. So we lived out there 29 years.
You know, I put in a few Saturdays, and every Saturday I would leave there with just my soul was filled and my heart was filled.
They're grateful for their chair and their couch, and they got a place to sit and a place to eat, and it was just, I was very grateful to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah, there were a lot of memories here, a lot of memories. And I moved back and I helped my father die here.
When something as devastating as the Carr Fire happens, most people go, do I have resources to help, or do I have to rely on my resourcefulness? And luckily for me, I had resources. I had a warehouse full of slabs, and these people had lost everything. I mean, they lost everything down to their toothbrushes. And so for us to come up with an idea to get these people furniture, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me.
Jerry is a very generous man, and he has the ability to give. And when we started thinking about this giveaway from his company, MADERA, we thought about how so many of the conversations we had with our family happened around the dining room table, whether we were eating dinner or doing our homework. We thought, let's do that. Let's start gathering people around the table again.
And things are a lot better now. It's been 3.5 months, and I guess we can both see light at the end of the tunnel.
You know what I always say, if I stick around my life long enough, it always gets better.
And I think that's true.
It's very true. We're more resilient than we think.
It took till about February before I felt almost whole again. About 7 months.
that it's not a bad experience. Something positive always comes out good. Like, first of all, I'm looking around, we're all safe.
For us, I think that's the thing, that the biggest blessing I take away is that people were really kind and generous to a fault and helpful. And
the community still hasn't forgotten. I get calls almost daily about the rebuild and how excited people are for me.
The Don't Wait Project is a vehicle for storytelling. I believe in storytelling. I believe that hardships are an opportunity for crossroads, not an impasse. And we want to hear your stories. We want to know what you've lost, but we also want to know what you've gained. What have you learned from this experience? You can nominate yourself, your family, or you can nominate a friend. But what we really want is to share the lessons that have been learned, the people who have been touched, the lives that have been impacted, and we want to share the progress of the people after the Carr Fire. So when will you be in?
I'm told around March, April, so June.
We wanted to chat with you a little bit about your story and just kind of hear from you specifically about the letter you sent.
Okay. It's been a while. I can't remember exactly everything I said. I'm sorry. It's been very much a whirlwind the past couple years. So I think I may have told you guys about the Carr Fire Christmas Wish program. I was actually, when I went back and read the article where they had the area for us to submit our stories, I remember going to the website and I was like, oh, Billy and Patrick, because I had actually worked with Naomi Yamamoto and TESS from Carr Fire Furnishings to do some advertising as like a, what do they call it like a PSA, I guess, to let other businesses in Shasta County know that I was trying to do this program for the fire survivors, and then I just needed donations from the community. And it was really, really wonderful, the outpouring we got. I had Shasta College donated the Christmas trees from their 4-H program. Some of the local churches donated ornaments that had been blessed. I had a lot of people just kind of almost emptying their garages of their family heirloom stuff, and it was amazing. And one of my favorite parts about the whole program was when people would come in to pick items, because we kind of set it up like a little curio shop where people could come in individually and they could pick a certain amount of whatever item depending on how much we had. And it was so wonderful to hear someone, especially someone, you know, a lot of the fire survivors were older. So it reminded me a lot of my grandma. So I'd see someone of my grandmother's vintage come in and they'd like start crying or saying that they never thought they'd see that decoration again because it had been donated from the community somewhere, and it's something that someone else had in their house that it had been passed down. And that was my favorite part.
So the things that they thought they'd never see again, somebody else in the community actually had the identical and donated it. Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amazing. And thank you guys for having me. I was really surprised to get the email. I thought maybe the selections had already happened, and I wasn't thinking I was going to get selected because there's so many of us, you know, and I thank you guys so much for reaching out to me. It means a lot.
Yeah, we just wanted to kind of get an idea of your story and talk face to face as we make our final selections. And of course, COVID slowed down that process because we wanted to do this in person, but
oh yeah,
you know, I'm in Washington and Jerry's in Utah and Redding. And so, Jerry, what stood out to you about Amber's story?
Well, for me, it's the whole thing behind this for Lisa and I is is, you know, there's great tragedy behind all this. You know, people lost their homes, and a lot of people lost their homes. But what we want to focus on, and what we did focus on, were people that actually helped regardless of the fact that they lost their home. And they you know, they shined in the community. They went out there, they were selfless. And that's really, at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing to see, because you can be in a mess, but when you help other people and you have that gratitude, it helps people get lifted out of that you know, out of the ashes, so to speak, you know.
Exactly.
And it shows them that, you know, you can focus on something, you can you know, still help, even though it feels helpless at times. So that, it really stood out. And I love the fact what you did and set that up, and, you know, all the people that did that in the community is just inspiring to me, for sure.
Very, very much so. And then, I mean, the campfire happened not too long after that. And so we actually had some campfire relocate up here. And so there were some campfire survivors that actually came through the shop. About 10 campfire families that had relocated up here came through the shop. It was really amazing. I honestly had, I mean, I worked retail, but I'd never organized anything like this before. And so there was only, I think, a group of 5 of us that ran this whole thing. And so Cal Hope actually volunteered time to come and help us run the shop. And Tess from Carr Fire Furnishing came and helped us run the shop. It was very intense because we didn't have a whole lot of time. I really, it kind of dawned on me. I mean, obviously when you have a tragedy like that, you're kind of stunned a little bit, and it takes you a minute to get your bearings. And then when Halloween started to happen, and I realized that Thanksgiving was coming, and everybody in my family had always come to my house to do the holidays, because I was the only one with a home. Everybody else lived in apartments, or, you know, that kind of thing. And so I had all of the family heirlooms. I had all of the decorations. And so it was kind of hard for the whole family, because they lost everything they had been saving too. And so I just sat there and went, wow, this year is going to be really weird. You know, I need to do something. My grandparents would want me to do something. And it was my way of coping, and my way of getting through the first holiday season was to try to get people who I knew were in the same spot I was, because for the most part, until you've had that type of a loss, you don't know what people really need. And it's one thing to give gift cards, but it's another thing to know exactly what a fire survivor needs in that time. And what they really need is to come together and feel like they're not alone, and to be able to know that the other survivors do care about how they're doing. And it was really amazing. And
tell us just a little bit, Amber, about where you are now. What's your rebuild? What's your life like? If you can sum it up.
Well, we moved 4 times, but that's because of the whole housing issues, where, you know, they want to raise the rent, or, you know, they only want to do a 6-month lease. So we've actually lived in every zip code in Reading since the fire. We finally made it back to 96001.
Jerry and I can relate, because we've lived places in Reading too.
Yes.
So 1 is good.
Right. So we're finally in the neighborhood, actually across from the neighborhood where our house is being rebuilt. We actually kind of, and I'm involved with like the Board of Supervisors and Salvation Army and things like that to try to get some additional help from the state and federal government for the fire survivors up here, because unfortunately there was some additional damage done during cleanup process, and so some of us couldn't rebuild right away. And so I've kind of I did a lot of the research, and I went and presented to the state Senate. I did about a 200-page research docket on the damages and things like that. And I helped create a list and everything with some of the local nonprofits of people who were having trouble rebuilding because of the damages. And so we're just breaking ground, actually. And so we broke ground actually yesterday.
Wow.
So we're just getting started. They said it'll take about 6 to 9 months to build the house.
Or 12.
We had a soils engineer, a civil engineer, and a structural engineer on the project because of the amount of soil removed from the property.
Well, we spent a lot of time. We had even extra time, like we said, because all of our choices got delayed. And the idea that you get to host again, perhaps next year in your new home, Jerry, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so you are one of our winners. So congratulations, and we look forward to building your table, and next Christmas you can bring some of those ornaments to your home, and we would love to work with you on getting you guys like a beautiful table made.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much.
We just want pictures.
Yeah.
We want pictures when you get to that point. But we were just moved by your story. And then what helps is just getting to talk to you now just reiterates the choice that Jerry and I made together. We did receive so many letters, and Jerry's generous enough to give these tables and have them made. And so he'll work out those details with you with his company, MADERA MANANA, and
beautiful work, by the way.
Yes, I'm excited for you to have that in your home. So thank you for your time. Thank you for writing the letter. Thank you for all you're doing in the Redding community after the Carr Fire. And we just are thrilled to have this little piece in helping you rebuild.
Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. I finally have something to give my daughter to pass down.
There we go.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
I'm Lisa, and this is Jerry. And Jerry owns MADERA MANANA, and he's the one who's generously gifting these tables to people. And we're just trying to get our last bit of information before we make our selections. So thank you for being on here with us. You were one of the people who sent us a letter. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your story and what you shared in the letter?
I don't mind at all. No, we've lived at our house on Power Line for 26 years, and prior to that, we'd lived down on Brandstetter Circle. And there were two buildings there. One was the Peace Center, and it had this table, 7-foot kind of old funky looking table that we used for all kinds of peace activities while we were down there. And then when we moved to Power Line, since we owned that property, we brought the table with us. Did a little research to find out where the table came from, and it basically was free materials from a local lumber mill. The people that started the school didn't have a lot of money, just a lot of thoughts about the peace, well, the school before the Peace Center, that's right. And so they scratched around, made the table, used it for all kinds of things for their students. We used it for the Peace Center, and then when we moved to Power Line, we used it for everything else. And if you know about the curse of flat surfaces, that's what it was. We always had to clear it off for whatever we were doing. And then, of course, the house burned, but the night before we'd had a party because we invited friends over to see photos of an incredible trip we took to Europe, which I could tell you all about, but it really has nothing to do with the table. But our adopted son had found relatives there, and one of them was getting married, and we went to her wedding, and he walked her down the aisle. So that was fantastic. We showed him pictures, showed our friends pictures, and then the next day we had to evacuate. And the table burned up. Yeah, we were sure we were coming back. We were the only place on power line that burned, and we were wrong. But now we're in a house that is bright, has huge windows, and not so many trees. So now we're going to have solar. So, you know, things have worked out. We didn't have to downsize like we thought we might have to, and all that sort of thing. So had lots of support from friends during the evacuation.
Right. What is the one thing you could say you've learned the most from this experience?
Be flexible. Be flexible, yeah, and we're totally grateful for our friends, and I keep coming back to this quotation from Kurt Vonnegut all the time too, that we're here to help each other through this thing, whatever it is, and we've learned that.
And what have you learned about the Reading community specifically? What stood out to you during this time, during the fire times and the times after, as people are trying to sort through what they do next?
Well, the community as a whole came together for lots of people, and I have no idea how much. But right here on Powerline Road, some friends, some neighbors left a note on a basketball standard that we had out there and said, give us a call. So we gave them a call. They came down with a basket, big, it was probably 2 feet in diameter, full of gift cards and wine and book cards for Amazon and for Barnes & Noble. We didn't even know these folks. We see them when we walked up to get the mail and waved to them and that sort of thing. And people have stopped as we've been working on the property, getting ready to move in here. People stop and say, hello, glad to see you back. And so on a very personal level, that was it. The Carr Furniture place did an amazing thing too. They were,
yeah, we did a whole story about them. They did amazing work during that time. Well, we wanted to just spend a little time asking those couple of questions, and I'll let Jerry take it from here.
Okay.
Well, so I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I want to curse you with another flat surface.
That would be incredible.
So I can't wait to work with you guys and build this this other flat surface that can take you guys into the next phase of awesome dinners and gatherings and all of that. So we just wanted to say thank you to you guys.
That's amazing. Thank you.
So welcome.
So we tricked you into this so that we could record you. And I have a television show in Washington State. Jerry and I are both from Reading. And if, with your permission, we'd like to air this on my show and share it with your community. And then Jerry's company, MADERA Manana, will work with you to get your table into your new home.
Wow. Well, thank you. I don't know what to say.
You don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything. It's our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Thank you for taking the time to write the letter, and thank you for just hanging in there all this time and being patient with this process. So we're just happy to gift it to you. So we'll definitely be in touch.